So I'm Dr. Sonita Sadio. I am a plastic surgeon. I'm based out of New York City in Manhattan. And I have a new approach to all things aesthetic. I have an anti-aging approach, which is about doing less, doing it more often, but starting earlier, so that you can forestall doing bigger things later on. So in the case of men, a lot of men are very concerned with hair loss. I start male patients on a lighter regimen earlier on, so they're not looking at hair transplant, 20, 30 years from now. And so I specialize in skincare, in minimally invasive procedures, and I have a regimen for men and for women around anti-aging and around forestalling the need for bigger procedures later on. So that's the whole crux of it. Less is more, natural is gradual. The whole idea is to be ageless over time in a way that no one knows. Because most of my clients would rather look old than done. They'd rather just get old than look crazy. And I think most people are there now. They don't want to do anything drastic and crazy and big. So we're more into doing little tweaks and little small things, non-invasive, minimally invasive, and I think that's the future. Absolutely.
Is it? Can you kind of say it's time by time? Like it's not just a one-time fix, but it's
exactly
more
right.
of a.
So my entire practice is subscription based.
Okay.
So it's a membership.
Okay.
So I wanted to get away from procedures and get back to people and their problems and solutions, right? So I found that the industry was oriented around units and syringes and what's hot, what's trending, and really, the approach should be more about what are we trying to do over time to forestall aging and to correct those areas that still need to be corrected. And so I see myself not as a purveyor of procedures, but as an architect. I'm the strategist. And so I work with my clients, and we, on a 6-month basis, map out our plan, and so that's individualized, and there are no conversations around cost per unit, cost per syringe. We implement a plan, and that's what we do for the 6 months, and it's all included.
Wow.
So that it's a new way of approaching it, but it makes more sense to me. Like, for example, if you were redoing let's say you were in any other project, if you're working on your kitchen, you wouldn't think about, what's the cost per tile, or can you use all those tiles because I bought all those, or you get an expert, someone with an aesthetic sense, and you would get the project done. And the tools would be secondary. The tools are up to the contractor, up to the architect to get the job done. But I talk strategy. So that's how I decided to approach it.
And kind of like you said, you're not doing a blanket answer for everything, but on a case by case situation for every person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And different tools do different things. I think in the press, you don't get the sense that people think, Botox is anti-aging, fillers are anti-aging, different skincare is anti-aging, but each of those is a different tool and is used for different things. Like Botox, for example, is used for expression lines. It gets etched into your face over time. So from doing this and doing this, that's Botox. But Botox can't, if your face is starting to sag or starting to kind of deflate, which is what happens to all of us over time, Botox can't address that. So I think people come in saying, give me Botox or give me fillers, as opposed to saying, here's what I want to do, or here's my goal. What do we need to do to accomplish that?
Yeah.
So I like to have a conversation more around strategy and goals and less around, and of course we discuss the tools, we discuss the procedures, of course, and the most important thing is to be safe. But I try to take that bigger perspective, the more global perspective, and the other thing is you can't use one tool for the job, right? That's the other thing. You can't put up a whole house with a screwdriver or with a hammer. Right. you need everything. And so I was trying to get away from the one procedure, one-off mindset, and get everyone into an idea of maintenance, just like at the gym. Aging goes on forever, it's a sad thing, but I wanted to get back into the idea of maintenance. You would never go to the gym for a week and think you were done for life. And so I was trying to get people more into a mindset of let's maintain and keep it, forestall, the aging process, rather than waiting until everything goes to hell and then doing something drastic and big. Right? So that's how I came up with the idea for the package. So I have a men's brand called Tanager Private Aesthetics, and then a ladies brand as well. And so those are two separate things, because men and women are different. That's the other thing. Men and women are different. They have different concerns. Society sees the way we age differently, so the end point is different. Like I said, I didn't make up the rules. I'm just here, but it's my observation as a person on Earth and in our society that we are a little bit more lenient with men's aging. In fact, if a man ages, he tends to look more experienced, which is actually more desirable. Unfair, but I'm just speaking the truth, right? It's George Clooney, it's Brad Pitt.
I think I'd put myself in that.
Most interesting men in the world. Those are all guys with deep lines and crow's feet, and now you can't. Now there is an aesthetic. I'll be talking about that tonight. There's a male aesthetic, which I think is, there's a way for men to age graciously as well. Definitely. Not every old guy you see looks attractive, right? So there's a reason why some are and some aren't. But I will say, if you're comparing men and women, that men are given more grace, because what makes a man attractive is experience, is wisdom, quiet confidence, those things that take decades to acquire. Qualities that make a man compelling take decades to acquire. And that shows on your face and it makes you more attractive. So, so there are different endpoints for that.
Do you think society, from a man's standpoint, is starting to change in terms of how they take care of their skin and how they're worried about their skin?
Absolutely. I find that men are more willing to use skincare products, for sure. I think that's the biggest change I've seen. I still get, frankly, I still get more than what I'd like to see of. I just use the Irish Spring that's in the same thing I used to wash my butt. I just used to wash my face. I'd like to see a lot less of that. But the guys are they're getting hip. They're hip to cleansers. They're hip to sunscreen. They're using moisturizers and not feeling like that's emasculating. And that's actually I don't know if it's unique to our culture, but that's not common. It's not everywhere. Like it's in the East. I mean, Asian men have like these 5 and 6 and 7 step skincare regimens, and they don't feel girly about it. So anyway, I'm glad to see that the guys here are catching up. So they're definitely getting hip to skincare, and people are making more products for them. So I think it's mutually reinforcing. Now this Botox trend, I don't think is huge. It's definitely growing. The numbers of guys getting Botox is growing year by year, 10-15%. But I don't. Botox has its role, but there's so much more to the picture. There's so much more than, and actually in women's aesthetics too. Botox is has its role, but it's a limited tool that can do a couple things, but it's not the game changer. It's not. There's more to talk about. There's a lot more to talk about than Botox.
Have you seen a decrease in the age of the men seeking touch-up work, or anything
I'm
prior
seeing
to
that.
weddings?
I'm seeing that with men and women. I think that the millennial. I hate to stereotype millennials. Everybody's doing that, but I will say that I find that younger men and younger women are all getting on board with skincare and maintenance, and are much more aware than their elders and their Generation X and Boomer counterparts.
So a question I have is, as you mentioned, you don't want to, I guess, do a one quick fix, for someone when their car's already totaled, you know what I mean? So, more of a maintenance approach. So what, I guess, age would you be?
What age? That depends on the person. I mean, there are people who start to, if everyone's different. I mean, obviously, I would say there are race-based differences, there's hereditary differences. Some people have been better about taking care of their skin than others in terms of using sunscreen. 80% of surface skin aging is environmental. So that person whose mom put sunscreen on them when they were a baby and who's been keeping up with that is going to do much, much better at 35, 40 than the person who hasn't. So that's a complicated question, but I would say skincare starts day one. Skincare starts, like I said, with the sunscreen your mom puts on you when you're a baby, and it goes into your 20s with a proper skincare regimen. And then we start to talk, procedures, 30s. And again, this is not surgery, but
Yeah, little touch-ups.
minimally invasive procedures. I would say it's like around 30s, but those are huge generalizations. I mean, I've got women who come into my office and they're in their late 40s who just don't need much of anything, and I have 20-somethings who really have some deep lines. Women and men and women.
Yeah.
For the guys, the major concern I think is hair.
Yes.
Like I don't get at settings like these, at parties, I don't get guys coming up to me saying, "Oh, what can you do for what can you do for this, for my face?" It's always like they start to see the receding hairline and like getting thin up top, and that I think for women there's a moment when they see themselves either kind of passing in a store window or in the rearview mirror of the car, and they just say, "Wow," or in a reunion photo, they say, "Wow, I look." Wow, like it's happening to me.
Right.
Like we all think that we're immune to it. We're
Right.
20-something. We think like we look at people in their 80s and think, oh, what did they do to get like that?
Right.
Well,
what you did.
everyone thinks that they're immune to it, right? But for women, I would say there's a moment, a photo, a mirror moment of wow, this is happening. For guys, it's the hair.
Right.
For guys, it's the hair.
But in regards to procedures, I know you talked about like hair transplant. So would you be doing that earlier on?
So there are some amazing new developments in hair, not just hair restoration, but more forestalling hair loss, as well as how I'll call it, just prevention of hair loss, and also regrowing hair that's already been lost at an early stage. So this is not for somebody who's lost all of their hair.
Right.
There are, of course, topicals, right? So as a plastic surgeon, I can prescribe prescription grade of the stuff that you see in the drugstore. So you see Rogaine in the drugstore, that's minoxidil, that's a very low percentage. I can have customized cocktails which are prescription grade of different prescription products that I have available for the men in my practice. Second thing is something called platelet therapy. So these are platelets that are extracted from the blood in plasma. It's basically, I'll keep it simple. It's a blood draw. We spin the blood down using a proprietary test tube. We are able to extract the plasma from the blood, which is rich in platelets and growth factors and all these stimulatory cells, and it's injected into the scalp in areas where the hair has been lost. And we do a series of treatments, 4 or 5 treatments. And this has been, it's early, but we're seeing great results, really great results. I think we're going to see some good studies, but the anecdotal evidence has been very, very promising.
Yeah.
So, and we do those in concert. So members of my practice who are men tend to be concerned with hair loss. We do a series of platelet therapy treatments, and then we also do the topicals, and that in concert is how you win.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good. All right.
Anything else?
Well,
Okay.